Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video I will be making a story time in which I will be talking to you about my most, I won't say worst relationship I ever had, but maybe the one that caused me arguably, not the most, third most heartbreak. If you don't already know, I've been living in Japan pretty much since I became an adult. I've been here for years now. I'm currently in a serious relationship. My life is okay, don't worry, don't feel bad, but I wanted to, open up more. You guys seem to like my story times, so I wanted to share some information about an interesting experience that I had dating a Japanese guy. I hope this will also help you understand some of my standards for moving on and dating men in the future. So, without going on to ramble, I want to say a few things. For starts, I want to try to keep my story time as real as I possibly can. So some things inside of this story time is probably going to make you cringe or be like, girl, you're two-faced it. But again, I'm telling you what really happened and helping you understand where I was coming from at this time in my life. So do not confuse what I'm doing now or what I'm telling you now with my past. People learn, people grow. I was a young adult and I was stupid, and it's thanks to my past that I can help advise you for your future and keep you from being an idiot like me. So, now moving on. So, it all started back when I first came to Japan, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the first thing that I had on my mind, more important than my first day of school, was I needed to get a boyfriend here. And so, I kind of went crazy. At first, I actually felt kind of scared because, as I told you guys before, I was like, oh my god, what if people here don't like me? I'm ugly, I'm too dark skinned, I'm fat. I just thought all of these bad things about myself. And I thought to myself, why not resort to dating like how I used to back in the US? And so I had actually dated Japanese people online before I had come to Japan. So I thought, why not do things the exact same way, except unlike before where I used to say, oh, I'm planning to go to Japan in 1 year, or I'll be in Japan next spring. No, I'm here now, sweetheart. So I was like, okay, I have more options for dating, which is true, but the problem is I had zero dating experience. So anyway, I got the bright idea to pretty much I opened up all of my dating apps, with the exception of Tinder, because at this time back then, I had too much pride to use Tinder. I thought it was beneath me and strictly for sex and hookup, so I avoided it like the plague at this time. But anyway, I had an account with everyone, and I went on so many dates. I met so many guys, and yeah, I was just having the time of my life. And literally, one of the very first people that I met, I instantly fell head over heels for this guy. And honestly, looking back, I don't even think I was really sexually attracted to this guy. I just liked the fact that he was Japanese. He was hot because he was Asian and he was older than me. So anyway, this guy was 28 at the time, and here I am a baby. I'm 20 years old. And so for me, a 28-year-old was 40. I'm oh my god, he knows everything. He's so smart. So back on subject. We first meet, I meet this guy from Craigslist. I know, but I'm being honest with you. I put out an ad on Craigslist, and I didn't put my photo or anything there initially, but I believe we did exchange a photo with each other via email. So we talked literally for maybe a day or two before deciding to meet on what I believe was a Sunday. So we went out for lunch, and this was the first time I had ever been to a restaurant here in Japan, and sure enough, he took me out for a stereotypical American burger. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, it was delicious. And I actually shared a photo of this, and I made a really depressing, sad, cringe-worthy blog post, which I don't even want to think about. But if you care to look for that, you can still find both of them. I don't think I deleted that picture or that blog post that I made, showing how depressed and sad I was because the love of my life had left me. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's stick with the story. So we meet, we go out to this place. I'm super shy, super nervous. He pays for everything. I can barely look at this guy. And I can't even remember what I was wearing. I think I did wear a dress. I was trying to look nice. So my clothing came from Forever 21, but I bought nice Forever 21 stuff before I left the US. So you know how Forever 21 stuff is. A lot of their stuff, while people knock the brand and call it cheap, etc., it actually looks pretty expensive. And that's exactly what it looked like. So it looked like I had some class, have some money, I'm not a kid. So after we leave the restaurant, we go for a little bit of a walk. We walk around. He asked me like, oh, why did you come to Japan? How old are you? Oh, you're so cute. Typical stuff. And then he walks me back home. End of our date. And so after that, I'm like, oh my God, he's so perfect. He's so nice. And so this guy's name is Kawa, by the way. I didn't tell you. So I really like Kawa. I tell all of my roommates at Sakura House, my best friend, who I refer to as my Chinese mom, I tell her like everything and about how much I like this guy. And she's like just rolling her eyes like, girl, like you just met him. But anyway, so shortly after I start dating him, I realized that he doesn't really have a ton of time to spend with me. But I am appreciative of the fact that, hey, this guy wants to see me during the daytime. So I learned later on that this guy is actually off on Sundays and Mondays. So he starts, no, Sunday and Tuesday if I recall. I can't remember if it's Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Sunday and Tuesday. So he starts asking me if I can see him on Tuesdays, but for some reason, unlike Sunday, he wants it to be very early. So this is perfect for me because I'm personally a morning and evening person, and I really like my mornings. I like to use the entirety of my day. I'm someone that wakes up early, wants to exercise. I want to watch my YouTube videos. I want to listen to music, clean my house, etc., do my homework first thing in the morning. And then like kind of just enjoy the remainder of my day, whether it be through work or doing, you know, more chores or whatever. Like I feel like I'm cheating myself out of life when I wake up late. But anyway, back on subject. So yeah, I think this guy is perfect. And I think it's a little bit weird, his schedule, but I don't really question it because again, he's seeing me during the daytime. But I did notice that when I would see him on Tuesdays, he seemed more focused on having cheap dates that quickly led to sex. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, like, the sex was great. I think that at that time, like, even to this day, I'm not gonna lie, he's, like, up there with, like, the top sexual experiences I've ever had. And I'm not gonna, like, get too much into my business about my sex life, but all I have to say is, if you've ever watched porn before, if you've ever watched hentai before, this guy was that in real life. Like, everything was perfect. Like, he knew where all your buttons were, and he was not selfish at all in bed. He made sure that you came at least once, if not twice. Like, he enjoyed watching you have an orgasm. He enjoyed fucking the life out of you. Like it was just perfect. Zero complaints whatsoever. The guy, he was tall, he had nice hair, he was clean. But I noticed that he also had an obsession with money, with class, with status. He would commonly make remarks about my clothing, and that was one of my first red flags that I had. When he was undressing me, this honestly like embarrassed me, but he noticed that my blazer was from Forever 21, and he kind of like laughed to himself. And honestly, I didn't think anything of it. I felt a little bit embarrassed, but I never thought to myself, why does this guy care about where I got my clothing from? You complimented it before. Is it not cute anymore because it's cheap? So, and then for me, growing up poor, while Forever 21 is seen as a cheap brand to others, it's expensive for me. I didn't have Forever 21 clothes growing up because their clothing was too expensive. All of my stuff came from Walmart, and Target was like uppity clothing for me. So I didn't even own anything from Forever 21 until my abuser slash sister bought me something to try to pretend like I was her mixed child. Yeah, she was crazy like that. Like, she liked hanging out with me and taking me places with her friends and boyfriend so that she can look like she's a mom and she has a biracial kid, because I have curly hair and I can appear to be racially ambiguous to some people. But that's another story. So anyway, yeah, I didn't think much of it. I just felt embarrassed that my clothes were cheap. So getting back on topic, the other thing that like kind of crossed my mind was I thought that it was odd that whenever we would go out, he really liked to go to stores and look at stuff that he couldn't really afford. So like we would go to like luxury brand stores, and for me it was fun because I didn't know anything about Japanese fashion. I just knew like the stereotypical stuff like Lolita, street fashion, etc. But I didn't know what kind of brands like Japanese people liked. So I learned about the wallets that they liked. I learned about the shoes that they liked, the street fashion brands that they liked, the stores they would line up outside of and wait for the latest release. I didn't know any of this information, and I feel like it's not really public knowledge to foreigners. So it was fun for me. I never thought twice about it. it made it really hard for me to feel like anything was wrong, because again, when I think of a guy using me for sex, I don't think of someone that's focused on making me feel good. But this guy, like, it was his goal. His job was to make me have an orgasm, and he loved it, and he will not stop until you come, like, no matter how long it took. But to be totally honest, he was so good at what he did, and I hate to say this, but I'm being 100% honest, you guys, I don't think I've ever come consistently as fast as I have or as hard as I have than with this guy. All I have to say is I learned things about myself that I did not know existed, and this is coming from someone, I'm being totally honest, I love sex, I enjoy sex, and I feel like I know a lot about my body, but I realized how little I knew back then. So anyway, going on, this guy treated me really well. We went out on dates. We saw each other at least once a week, but normally twice a week. And again, this relationship didn't last super long. We only dated for a few months, but it felt like forever. So as time went on, I, being the person that I always am, I started offering to pay for dates. We would go out to a restaurant, and without hesitation, I would volunteer, oh, I'll pay, or I'll pay half, or, whatever the case was, to which he was grateful and appreciative. But then something changed. I went on a date with him for Valentine's Day, in which I got him some really expensive stuff. I went out and I bought him a wallet from one of the designer stores that we had went to, and I bought him a nice designer sweater and a designer dress shirt, and I even had my best guy friend, one of my Japanese dads, he came with me, and he jokes about it to this day, saying that he wore a cloth for me, or a cloth for him, as he says. He didn't really like this guy from what I told him about Kawa, but he went along with me anyway, and he helped me find clothes for him. So I used him as like the model to see what the outfit would look like on him. But the guy was dating Kawa. He was like, chubbier than this guy. My friend, I call him my dad, Tatsuya, but I have several dads here. So anyway, Tatsuya, who's a little bit older than Kawa. Tatsuya at the time, Tatsuya was like 31, 32, so a few years older than Kawa. He tried on several different outfits. I asked for his opinion on stuff, and he felt like I was making a big mistake. Like, whoa, these are expensive gifts. Why are you buying this? But I was convinced. I'm so in love. I really like this guy. So anyway, I went ahead, and guys, I think I spent maybe roughly $1,000 on this guy for Valentine's Day. And that's not even including like the materials that I used to make his food. I went all out to like buy like really expensive stuff to give him like a really nice Valentine's Day gift. I made him chocolate, I got him clothes, I got him this wallet, I paid for our date and everything. And he was grateful, but I can tell that like when I gave him the gifts, he was super fixated on the fact that they were a specific brand. And it seemed almost as though he didn't really want to like touch what I gave him because he wanted to return it for money, it almost seemed like. But I figured, oh, maybe he doesn't like it. So I was so stupid, you guys. I gave him the receipts for the stuff that I gave him. Because I figured, what if this is the wrong size? What if he doesn't like this style? I wanted to make sure he could return it. And so that date went well. As always, the sex was great. And nothing to complain about. Everything seemed normal to me. It's Valentine's Day. Of course we're going to have sex, right? Well, after this date, I feel like everything like became super obvious. The next time we went out, we had a simple date at a random coffee shop, and he wanted to go somewhere that was secluded. He didn't want to be seen for some reason, and he started to like stress the fact that he really like wanted to go somewhere that wasn't crowded. So I didn't think anything of this because for me personally, not because I'm a cheater, I just really don't like being in crowded places when it comes to like going out to eat, etc. I love crowds when it comes to like going for a walk. I like being seen. I like being around people. I like hearing people talk and converse. I enjoy that. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoy the little bit of celebrity status of people staring at me and taking pictures. It's wrong to say cringeworthy, but again, being honest. So anyway, this was back in my earlier days, so I wasn't so comfortable being stared at. And again, I was also, and I still am, very shy. So I didn't want to be around a million people either. Didn't think much of it. So we went to this random coffee shop, and when he got to the register to pay, he suddenly forgot his wallet. And I thought it was really odd because this had never happened before. I figured that since I had paid for the last few dates and shelled out well over $2,000 probably between making him food and buying him gifts, that he would want to pay for this. he insisted that he didn't have money all the way at the register. And so for a moment I thought to pay for it, but then I instantly felt angry and then sad. I instantly realized that was like my aha moment, for lack of a better word. I realized that something wasn't right about this relationship. Something told me this guy is using me for sex and he thinks that I have money. So I explained to him, I lied to him, and I said, I don't have money. And so then he tried to convince me that if I paid for that he would pay for the hotel. And I thought that was really odd. It's like, I didn't agree to going to a hotel with you. And on top of that, since when do I pay for us to go to a hotel? And then I slowly started to piece more and more things together. If this guy is single like how he claimed that he was to me, why are we having sex at a hotel? And I thought it was odd that, again, all of a sudden, why are you expecting me to pay for stuff that normally you would pay for? Why are you relying on me? So after we left, he apologized to me, and I honestly started crying. And he was so smooth. He played it off really well. He apologized profusely. And he didn't even say anything that made sense, because of course he did end up paying for the meal. And he gave some crap excuse about how he found his wallet or how he did have money. And he started to make out with me. And it just made me like forget everything. Again, sex was good. The guy was a great kisser. He was tall. I thought he was cute at the time. Although I can admit now, I feel like it was more so a matter of me having a fetish than me really liking the guy, because his personality wasn't even anything special. He was super, super like passive, nonchalant, not emotional. And he wasn't someone that would like talk to you on a regular basis and care about what's going on in your day-to-day life. However, he didn't message me throughout the week. So it was like he did just enough for me to lose suspicion of something being wrong, but he wasn't doing enough to make me feel 100% secure in my relationship with him. So this time we go to the hotel, and I promise you guys, I literally have no recollection of what happened at one point. I remember sitting and talking to him, and I think we might have been drinking, like not like alcohol or something, like just a normal drink, or it could have been alcohol. If it was just a single drink. I somehow went from sitting and talking and us discussing, what's going on, like why do you suddenly not have money, and I thought it was odd that he wasn't using the new wallet that I gave him. It was a Porter wallet, might I add. I forgot the name of the brand when I was talking to you guys. So it was an expensive wallet, and so it was like one of those stores in Japan where they don't even touch it. This is before COVID, people. They actually were wearing like white gloves and whatnot, and nicely folding my bag and treating me like I was some type of like A-class celebrity or something. But anyway, yeah, I went from that to, before I knew it, I was knocked out, passed out, sleep, and we're already at the hotel. Like, I agreed to go with him because he paid for it, and he apologized. We were making out and everything out in public, and he somehow convinced me to go to a hotel with him in broad daylight, and again, he paid for it. I honestly think this guy drugged me, but like, I have no idea what happened or when, so I can't say for like 100% sure. But again, I'm a morning person and I don't recall being tired, but I literally woke up to this guy just TMI, people, but going down on me and eating me out. And again, like, everything was good with this guy. The sex was great. He was a great kisser. He was a smooth talker. He was intelligent, and everything was perfect. He was older than me, tall guy. I liked everything about this dude, so I thought. So anyway, he was really focused this time, like more than usual, on trying to make sure that I felt good. But something still seemed off. So I noticed that after this time, after we left the hotel, he wasn't trying to spend more time with me. He didn't walk me back to my home. He just walked me to the station. And when I wanted to arrange meeting the next time, I expressed to him that I really wanted to know more about him. He didn't share much about himself. And for some reason, even although he was living all the way in Kanagawa, which is, where Yokohama and everything is, he didn't want me to come to Yokohama. And I didn't understand why. So I thought to myself, you know, we can save money, save time if I go to you. I'm a student. He knew this. You're working. I wasn't working at this time. I hadn't graduated. I was a college student, and I didn't even have a part-time job. So I had like all the time in the world. And honestly, I was ditching class and doing crap that I shouldn't have been doing. I should have been studying and learning Japanese at this time. And instead, I was busy running around and dating him and trying to have a boyfriend. So yeah, he was really defensive and really like stern on the fact that he did not want me to come to Kanagawa. He wanted to come to me, and that he didn't need me to help him save money, which I thought was odd considering that he tried to use me for money essentially. So I tried to convince myself, oh, it was just a coincidence. He wasn't using me for money. There must have been some kind of reason. He did normally pay for the dates. But I couldn't shake that. I just felt like this guy thinks that I have money because of how I dress. He saw that I had a Louis Vuitton bag, which he had no idea I saved up for that bag when I was working as a pharmacy technician in the US. He had no idea that that bag was now years old. And in his mind, I spent all this money on Valentine's Day gifts. I'm dressing nicely. Clearly this girl has money. She's generous. It's not normal for a Japanese girl to buy expensive gifts for a boyfriend, especially not someone that she barely knows. Normally it's her boyfriend that's buying gifts for her. So this guy instantly saw opportunity. But again, I ignored all of this stuff. And as I started to try to learn more about him, I noticed inconsistencies. He had mixed information about what he did and didn't do, and what he liked and didn't like. And it started off with small things like, I don't like tea, but then wanting to go get tea. And I don't like sugary drinks, and then wanting to have a sweet drink. So it just seems small. Maybe he's trying to accommodate me. Maybe he's trying things that I liked. So I noticed that our dates started becoming shorter, and what we did started becoming cheaper. And it seemed almost as though he was trying to encourage me to be the one to pay for the date so that we would do nicer, more expensive things. And so we had another date, of course, that led to us going to a love hotel. And I noticed that when I went to the bathroom and when I came back, he had went through my phone. So it was really, really weird. So I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in my video, but I noticed that the guy, so like he went through my phone, and my phone had a lock on it, but I think like maybe my phone might have gone off and I got a notification, or I left it where the screen was on. But whatever happened, the guy like saw my notifications and he noticed that I had the Tinder app downloaded. Well, this was a really messy situation. For starts, while I did download Tinder, as I said at the beginning of this video, I believe, I had too much pride to use the app. I saw Tinder as being something that people only use to casually have sex and hook up on, and I definitely was not about that. I was the serious relationship type. So, yeah, I had the app downloaded because my friends like convinced me, but I swear to God, I had never opened it. I didn't have an account. I never like swiped on anybody. Like I didn't even see the app. I never signed up for an account, but I did download it. So I couldn't really explain myself, but I noticed that he called himself upset over it. And so being totally honest, despite all of the stuff that happened beforehand, I did feel guilty about it, but I didn't think much of it. I was kind of upset, and I believe I did express this to him, because a phone is a private thing, and because I felt like I could trust the guy, I didn't find it necessary to go to the bathroom with my purse and with my phone. But now I regret doing that, and I definitely wish I did. So just to give you a little bit of a recap, some of the things I forgot to mention in this video, I think I might have deleted it. I found out later that despite the guy like being super concerned about me cheating on him, it turns out he did have a Tinder account. So we went a brief period of time in which he like ignored me and ghosted me for a while. So I did end up downloading the app and like actually using it. I deleted it after he like saw it on my phone. And sure enough, I want to say within a week of using the app, I came across his profile, and it turned out that his name was not Kawa. His name was in fact Keita. He lied to me about his name, and I think his age was legit. If not, he was a couple years older than what he said. So I think he was like maybe 30, but his name started with K, but it wasn't Kawa. And I thought that, you know, that was a little bit strange because when I told my Japanese friends his name was Kawa, they thought that was really weird and that it was a nickname, that couldn't be his real name. And I insisted, no, it's his real name. Why would he lie about that? But I was completely wrong about everything. The guy was like, he lied about what school he went to. He told me that he went to Waseda University. He went to some other like small junior college like place or whatever. So he did graduate, at least according to his profile. And he was like posed next to this like expensive car. Like I think he was next to a Benz or something. So I don't know if that was really his car or not, but he seemed to have been telling the truth about where he lived because his location was near Yokohama. It was in Kanagawa. So yeah, like the whole thing just got like really, really messy. And like I said, being totally honest, being as dumb and naive as I was, I did feel hurt by it, but I didn't like think too much about this whole situation. I just saw it as, oh, maybe he felt he couldn't trust me. Maybe he felt like he had to lie. Because I can be honest, I've not been 100% honest with people that I've met online. I normally withhold information, but I won't go as far to like lie like that, especially if I like start dating you seriously. But I don't tell everything. For example, if I'm dating someone that I'm meeting online, I'm not going to tell them where I work at, exactly where I live, exactly where I went to school. I don't even tell my subs all of this information. So yeah, that's that. So anyway, let's get back to the story. Sorry again that I either deleted the video or I somehow like forgot to mention this while telling my story. He's trying to make me feel like crap so that I will feel like in order to keep this guy, I need to change the way that I look, and I also need to support him by paying for our dates, buying him gifts, and essentially taking on the role of the man despite the fact that I know nothing about this guy. Here I am being totally honest with him about where I'm going to school, about, what I'm doing with my life, myself, and I'm being totally open with him. And instead, this guy has wrapped up in his mind that I'm his sugar mama, is what he tried to make me. So, everything seemed to have still been kind of fine. We were still seeing each other every so often, but the downside is that this guy's dates were strictly around sex. If we planned to go on a date, I would make it very clear to him that I had no intention of going to a love hotel. And when that would happen, he would show up late for the date, cancel the date, or he'll say, oh, I only have 30 minutes. Oh, I can only do whatever. Let's just talk at a hotel. And when that would be turned down, he suddenly would have to leave. So the final straw that we had was we went on a date that literally was just a coffee date, and we went our separate ways. And we somehow got into a conversation with talking about our past relationships. And I admitted to him that I wasn't a virgin, that I had had sex before. And for some reason, like, that just like made him freak out, and he literally ghosted me after that, you guys. Like, I'm not kidding you. He stopped talking to me. He eventually blocked me and was completely done with all conversations with me. And of course, fast forward months later, he contacts me again, trying to check in on me, see how I'm doing, etc. And shortly after that, maybe a month later, I see that he's updated his information. He's now dating another girl. And I think to myself, oh gosh, she's probably going to fall for the same thing. And so, I'm sorry, I didn't like really take notes on this. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, looking back on everything in hindsight, like I feel like I had so many red flags that I ignored. All of our dates were American based. He wanted to go to like New York coffee shops. He wanted to go to like Chicago street food places. His wallpaper was like of some random white girl. And like everything about him was foreigner, 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 like an American obsession. And honestly, I think I was nothing more than experimental sex. He probably had a fetish, wanted to try being with a black girl. He obviously had a thing for breasts. He liked my boobs. I do think that he did find me to be attractive. I do think that I was cute to him, but he never saw me as being serious from the start. I was someone that he was just playing with. And when he found out that I was naive, that I was gullible, that I was generous with my money, that made him like me even more. He realized that I was easy to take advantage of. Normally you hear about girls doing this to guys, but it most certainly does happen in the reverse. So to also give you some backstory on that, I am not rich. I might seem like it now more so than then, so he really made a big mistake, because if he held on to me for a few more years, he would see what I'm like with a career, because now I actually can afford to buy myself things like Louis Vuitton when I get paid. But anyway, yeah. It really hurt me, but looking back, there were so many obvious things. Like I said, an obsession with white girls, an obsession with the US, an obsession with English. Everything he talked about was American. If he saw anything that had the US on it, he would want to go there. And I took this all as signs as, oh, he's trying to make me feel at home. When in actuality, he was showing me that his love, his interest in me was fetish-based. He wanted to show off the fact that he had a foreign girlfriend. He wanted to show off the fact that he could speak English. And the reason why he was okay with seeing me in these public places was because he didn't live in Tokyo. His job, his life, his everything was all in Yokohama. And to be honest, to this very day, I have no idea if this guy was married or not. And I wouldn't put it past him. He seemed too good to be true, and I ignored all of the obvious red flags and signs. The sex was amazing. The guy was, I wouldn't say he was like the perfect romantic dude, but he was romantic, I would say, for a Japanese guy. He definitely knew like what to say, what to do at the right time, and he knew how to manipulate you. And when he did make mistakes, he knew how to fix them right away. These were all things that I wasn't used to Japanese guys doing, even after I've dated him. He had a lot of traits that can easily fool and or trick a girl. And I honestly wonder how long it would have taken me to realize I was being played had I not bought those gifts for him. So in one sense, I feel stupid for going ahead and buying him stuff that now I can never get back. I just threw away money and wasted my time on like making him chocolate and things like that. But at the same time, I see it as an investment. This guy would have probably led me on for years or months and months because I honestly wouldn't have given up on him until he gave up on me. So this isn't the only example. I can literally give so many other stories of guys that I've dated that have tried to pull similar things, but this case hurt it the most because I dated him for the longest consistently. He was one of the first boyfriends that I had here, and he's the one that, messaged me. He's the one that asked me, to be his girlfriend and said that I was his girlfriend, etc. But it was all a lie. And while for me, I'm not even someone that identifies as a feminist. I believe that women should have the same rights that men have in that sense. But I'm not one of those people that like are super like whatever that big. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm sorry. I know this sounds offensive, but again, being real, that's not my thing. So that's not the reason why I wanted to split bills or pay for whatever. I just believe in doing what I can. Yeah, I'm a student, but I knew that I had student loan money. I knew that I had cash that I had saved. I knew that I could afford to help out. I knew that I could afford to split the bill. And so that's what I tried to do. But instead, I ended up getting stabbed in the back. So if you take nothing else or get nothing else out of this, all I really want to say and warn you, ladies specifically, please be careful. Don't give lavish, expensive gifts to a guy that you barely know. Don't be so quick to fall in love. Don't think that just because a guy is doing one thing, they're not doing another. And that's why I always try to tell you guys to take my advice with a grain of salt. Don't think that just because one good thing applies to you, that your guy is perfect. And so going based on my own story, yeah, the guy that I was dating, he wanted to see me in the daytime. We rarely had dates at night. But now looking back on it, maybe it's because his wife was thinking that he was at work, and really at night he was going home to another woman, and that's the reason why he didn't want to see me at night. And so normally I think of evening dates as being booty calls, and that's why he wants to see you after work for an hour or two. But in my case, I thought, oh, well, he's seen me in the daytime, he's proud of me. But he really just didn't live anywhere near there. And then it got to the point where, I don't know, maybe he started dating another girl that did live near there. And so he didn't really want to be seen with me. So he started trying to find off to the side, sketch, whatever you want to call it, underground coffee shops, cheap places to go to. He no longer cared about having a full meal. Now our dates consisted of having a single cup of coffee and then having sex. And even with sex, that was hard for me to call out too. Normally, in my experience, I think of a guy using you for sex as a guy that strictly wants you to please him. A guy that wants you to give him a blowjob. He doesn't care whether you come or not. He wants the date to end as soon as he's done with, satisfying him. That's all he wants. Whereas this guy was the total polar opposite. So just keep that in mind. Every relationship is totally different, and you really want to take things slow. You want to be careful with how much information you reveal about yourself, and don't trust everything that someone tells you. I dated this guy for months. I slept with him, and I had no idea, literally no idea, that this guy was not only cheating on me, so I could have risked getting an STD, but this guy could have been married, and I didn't even know what his real name was. So that was so scary. Like, even to this day, I have no idea where this guy really lives, because I knew nothing about him. yet I was so trusting, so stupid, and so naive. So that's that. That's the end of my story time. This is really hard and embarrassing to share, and I'm sorry I don't remember every single last detail, but yeah, it was a very short-lived relationship. We dated from like December to February, so only for like 3 months, but we did so much, and it felt like the relationship lasted forever. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give me a like or leave a comment down below. If you'd like to share your own experience with dating a guy that was using you, whether it be for sex, money, whatever the case might be, please share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Again, don't worry, I'm fine. I have a stable relationship now. But yeah, this really like took a hit to my pride because I have such a big heart. I'm so generous. When I fall in love, I fall hard and fast. And yeah, it was a serious wake-up call for me. And yeah, I would also appreciate it if you would check out some other videos on my channel, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You can add me on Snapchat, and I have a Facebook page that you can like as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.